Alright, if you remember, in order to solve equations, like I'll do one right here. What if I said x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0? As long as I'm capable of factoring, right, x plus 3, x plus 2 equals 0, then I can set my factors equal to 0 and solve, right? So that's always been a power. Well, what allows us to do this, right, is the zero product property. As long as any of these factors are equal to 0, like -3 and -2 there, then the entire thing will be equal to 0. And we can plug those back in. But I'm using this as an example to tell you why it isn't so important to be able to complete the square. Completing the square allows us to always be able to factor, because we know how to factor perfect squares. For instance, this guy right here, right, x squared plus 16x, alright, equals 36. I can complete the square by taking half of 16, 8 squared, and adding it. So if I had that x squared plus 16x, 8 squared is 64. Now I've got to add it to the other side or the equation will be unbalanced. But I've now created an equation that I can factor. I know this factors into the square root of x squared plus the square root of 64 quantity squared, and that equals 100. So I can now solve just by taking square roots. So if I take the square root of both sides now, that just leaves me x plus 8 is positive or negative 10. And I can set up two equations, because I know x plus 8 equals positive 10, and x plus 8 also equals negative 10. Subtracting 8 will give me 2 and negative 18, and we're done. Now, I am going to keep going, and I'm going to come down here and do a couple more. Alright, so if we see this guy, let me see if I can get it to focus just a little bit better. That's not bad. Alright, so look, I've got a situation where I can make a perfect square by taking half of that negative 5 squared. So I'm going to add 25, and I've got to do it to the other side, 25, and that gives me x squared minus 10x minus 20, oh that's plus 25, we're adding it, equals 36. This is a perfect square. How do we know that? We turned it into one. So it factors by taking the square root of the first term, the middle sign, that minus, square root of the second term squared. And now I can take the square root and solve with radicals. X minus 5 equals 6, right? And x minus 5 equals negative 6, because we got to do positive or minus when we do that. If I add 5, I get x equals 11. If I add 5 here, I get x equals 1. And there we go. Coming over here, same concept, right? Half of 6 squared is 9. So we add 9 here, and we add 9 here. I get x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 11. Again, I can factor this to x plus 3 squared, square root sine square root, equals 11. Don't be afraid to take square roots of stuff you don't know. I know the left side is x plus 3, but the right side is just going to be positive or negative 11. And if I subtract 3, I've got two answers. You can leave it just like this. Negative 3 plus or minus rad 11. I'm going to stop here because we're going to get into something a little bit different next. And I'll talk to you guys soon.